Hi guys, I just got back from my trip. I was in the UK, London, Edinburgh, and on my trip I discovered two fragrances that I wanted to quickly report to you guys about that I fell in love with. I purchased and brought back, and today I'm going to do a video about them. They are great alternatives to two fragrances that I love, Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum. So if you like these two fragrances and you're looking for some alternatives that are really amazing, I'm going to let you know what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about two great alternatives for the fragrances Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum. They're from the same family, just the Intense version is an eau de parfum, and the Parfum version, which is a concentrated parfum version of the really popular Dior Homme DNA. My favorite fragrance happens to be Dior Homme Parfum. I absolutely love this fragrance and I love the smell. So when I smelled these two fragrances, instantly was like, I'm gonna buy these two because I really love them. On my trip, I was looking for bottles of Dior Homme Parfum. Couldn't find any anywhere. I've asked around at different stores and they were all letting me know that they don't have any. They used to, they don't have any. And there's somebody, a couple of you also were messaging me, maybe one or two of you, that fact that the Dior Homme Intense was discontinued, and I found out it's not really discontinued. It's still selling, but Dior Homme Parfum is nowhere to be found in the UK, at least the places I visited. But as I was saying, I found two different fragrances that I'm going to make great alternatives. The first fragrance I discovered is a fragrance from the house of Boadicea, the Victorious. It's called Harmonious. This is a fragrance I discovered at Selfridges in London. So those of you that live in the UK, this is a great thing for you because you can get these fragrances, both of these, easily there. But the Selfridges website does have Harmonious, and you can order it and bring it, order it to purchase it in the States as well. So that is a great alternative for Dior Homme Parfum. As I said, my favorite fragrance. I've got a bunch of different videos on that particular fragrance. So if you guys are having a hard time finding that fragrance, I think Boadicea, the Victorious Harmonious, will be a great alternative. But there are differences with the fragrance, and I'm going to tell you what they are. And then, as a great alternative to Dior Homme Intense, I found or discovered another fragrance, this time at Jovoy, Mayfair in London. It's a fragrance from the house called Begim, I think, and it's Silk Road for Him. So this is exclusively selling at Jovoy Mayfair, not at the Jovoy in Paris. I haven't seen the brand there, but I did discover this at Jovoy Mayfair. And once again, I was smelling the fragrances, instantly fell in love with the smell of Silk Road for Him. And I was like, you know what, this reminds me of Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme Intense. It's that DNA that I really love. So I bought this one at Jovoy Mayfair as well. This fragrance is less expensive than Boadicea the Victorious Harmonious, whereas that is 100 ml for $240. Selfridges exclusive as of now. Begim Silk Road for Him is 100 ml for 130 pounds. The pricing is pounds, not dollars. So you might have a more difficult time getting Begim Silk Road for Him, but easier time with Boadicea the Victorious Harmonious because Selfridges does ship to the States. So let's go ahead and talk about Harmonious first. This was, I know you guys have been asking me to dig into this house, Boadicea the Victorious, and then Harmonious was because I was at Selfridges and smelling the fragrances, and this one came up. The sales associate said it's an exclusive to Selfridges. It's brand spanking new. I think it was launched in November, they told me. And as soon as I smelled it, I'm like, damn, this is amazing. This smells like my favorite fragrance, one of my all-time favorite fragrances. And she didn't really have to tell me much more. I smelled it and I said, I'm gonna get a bottle of it because I absolutely love it. So this features notes of Ambrette. I did a video on Ambrette yesterday. If you guys haven't caught that video, go catch it. But that video was shot before I discovered this fragrance, so this sadly is not on that list. But it's Ambrette, it's Orris, it's Musk, vanilla, roses, several kinds of roses according to the Boadicea the Victorious website. There's Cognac, there's rum, there's Bergamot, Saffron, leather, and Vetiver. So for me, it instantly reminds me of Dior Homme Parfum. I like that because even though this is an eau de parfum, I think it's an eau de parfum concentration. I don't have the exact concentration about this. It could be an extract. It could be a parfum concentration, but it's really, really beastly. And even though it'll remind you of Dior Homme Parfum, for me, I get a booziness from this one because of the fact that it's got cognac, it's got rum. The two together give it a boozy boost to the fragrance. And even though it'll remind you of Dior Homme Parfum, it's going to give you that kind of a boozy version of Dior Homme Parfum. And the other thing that really stands out here are the roses. The roses do stand out. It's kind of a rosy, boozy take on Dior Homme Parfum, which is kind of a breath of fresh air. The fact that I love Dior Homme Parfum so much, I like its concentration, I like its thickness, its denseness when I wear it, and the fact that there is this kind of a lipsticky vibe. Here, with the fact that it's got lots of rose, and I believe the original Dior Homme Parfum has some rosy touches as well, but I don't get a really prominent rosiness, whereas in Boadicea, the Victorious Harmonious, I get a lot of rosiness along with the booziness, as I mentioned. But here with this one, there's definitely the feeling of makeup, whereas Dior Homme Parfum, I've mentioned I get a lipsticky vibe, a lipsticky leather vibe. Here with Boadicea, the Victorious Harmonious, the fact that there's a lot of rose kind of gives me like more of a makeup lipstick vibe rather than just a lipstick vibe, if that makes sense. I think that rosiness kind of like amplifies the makeup-y vibe, and the fact that there's lots of Orris here as well. I feel like the Ambrette, the Orris, the Musk, and the vanilla here are really, really prominent. Those are pretty much running the show, and those are kind of like the same notes that are present in Dior Homme Parfum. Then you have the roses, then you have the booziness from the cognac and rum, and then of course everything else comes after. There's definitely a leathery presence here as well, with the addition of saffron, but you do have some brightness, and I get brightness from the rose, the cognac, the rum, and of course a little bit of fresh brightness from bergamot here as well. And then the fragrance settles to woods, definitely becomes woody, and maybe a little creamy with a bit of a sandalwoody touch, but vetiver sandal kind of comes in as well faintly. This is an amazing fragrance, really, really love it, and that's why I'm doing this quick video for you today. As I just got back from my trip and I'm sitting in front of a camera, I haven't shot a video for a while, and doing this video just to let you guys know. I will be doing a haul video of a lot of different fragrances. In fact, this fragrance is not my very first Boadicea the Victorious fragrance purchase on this trip. I actually bought 2 additional fragrances while I was in Edinburgh, and there is a Harrods beauty shop there, not necessarily a full Harrods shop, just a beauty actual shop of beauty products only, and they had a couple of Boadicea the Victorious fragrances in tall, kind of like skyscraper looking bottles. I posted about the 2 fragrances on my Facebook page. I don't know, some of you commented. So I ended up buying those 2 fragrances, and I'll report back about those 2 Boadicea the Victorious fragrances, which were on clearance at that store. 600 pounds down to about 160 pounds, I guess, each of the bottles. So I bought those first. That's why after I bought those 2 fragrances, I went to, explore the brand further at Selfridges and at Harrods, and this turned out to be a great exclusive offering from Boadicea the Victorious, and instantly had to get it. This is a very, very long-lasting fragrance, so if you like beast mode fragrances, definitely check this one out. If you are a fan of Dior Homme Parfum, you must get your nose on this one. Again, it'll give you that whole vibe of DHP or Dior Homme Parfum, but for me, I get the booziness and of course the rosiness, and there's that whole presence of a makeup vibe here. And as I was mentioning, if I got lipstick leather with Dior Homme Parfum, I get more of a makeup-y vibe. I almost feel like there's a bit of violet in here. Did a video on makeup fragrances this week as well, where I did feature Dior Homme Parfum, and this would have ended up perfectly on that video as well. This is great. I really, really love it. I love it so much. I'm gonna go ahead and order another bottle of it just to have as a backup because it's amazing. I also want to quickly show you the box, and then we'll move over to Begim's Silk Road for Him. This is how the box is, and then the fragrance fits right in here perfectly. like that. I'm sure you guys have seen it. But this one and a couple of other fragrances from this brand are the very first fragrances for me from this house. If you have other favorite fragrances, do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. I will be buying one additional one sometime in the near future as well. I think when I go to Paris in a couple of months, there's a actual section at Printemps for this brand, and at that time I'll buy a bottle of there's a leather fragrance that I really enjoyed, which was actually fairly inexpensive for the brand, so there's that one. But I want to explore more from the brand, and if you have favorites from the brand, do let me know what they are and put a comment down so I can find out. Let's move on to Begim's Silk Road for Him. This is another great fragrance that kind of gives me the Dior Homme DNA, but once again, the more concentrated, more intense fragrances. This time Dior Homme Intense, whereas the last fragrance reminded me more of Dior Homme Parfum. And what I like about this one is the fact that it's less expensive. Let's show you the bottle. Here it is. And I don't really know too much about this brand. I've heard about them, and when I was at Jovoy Mayfair, they told me there's this brand. It's kind of exclusive to that store, not the store in Paris, but the Jovoy Mayfair in England, London. And I started smelling the fragrances, and as soon as I came to this, Jesus, I said, this smells like a Dior Homme Intense. Definitely there's more freshness here. And again, the price is really great on this one. It's 100 ml for $130. So the notes are cardamom and amber, sandalwood, cedar, cocoa, hazelnuts, musk, and leather. I feel like there's definitely got to be Ambrette in this, because there's the Ambrette muskiness prominent in the Dior Homme line, more in the Intense and the Parfum. So I feel like there's that here as well. But the fragrance starts off with a blast of cardamom and ambery touches. And I feel like the amber, again, it might be, there's definitely an ambery presence, but almost more like a musky Ambrette touch in here as well. So lots of cardamom when you first spray it. It's definitely there. It's a big blast, along with the cocoa. So there's definitely kind of like more of a cocoa rather than like chocolate creaminess here, because it feels like a dusting of cocoa in this particular fragrance. And of course, also I feel like at the top you do get some freshness from bergamot. And with this Silk Road for Him, in comparison to the Harmonious from Boadicea the Victorious, I feel like there's more bergamot here. It adds a freshness. There's definitely the noticeable quality of the freshness with Silk Road for Him in comparison to the Victorious or Boadicea the Victorious Harmonious. But you got the hazelnuts in here as well. There's a bit of a nuttiness here. And then of course it becomes sandalwoody. And of course it's got vanillic touches and leather in here as well. Now there's no mention of vanilla, but I do get some vanilla in this one. It's definitely there. But for me, it's definitely kind of a nutty, more cocoa prominent take on Dior Homme Intense, and definitely the noticeable freshness is here with Silk Road for Him in comparison to the Harmonious. So I like both of them. They're you know, they remind you of the DNA of Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme Intense, but they're different in that when you compare them side by side, you're going to totally notice the differences. And I also feel like Silk Road for Him is not as intense, of course, like Dior Homme Parfum or Harmonious is. You definitely notice that, and I feel like that's why it kind of matches more of the vibe and the wearing qualities of Dior Homme Intense in comparison to Dior Homme Parfum. It doesn't have that thickness and density that Harmonious and Dior Homme Parfum has in comparison to Silk Road for Him and Dior Homme Intense. And I feel like also in Dior Homme Intense there's the presence of lavender, and I feel like this might even have a bit of a lavendery touch. It just totally reminds me of Dior Homme Intense, and I feel like it's there in the background. And the fact that there's got to be some vanillic touches in there, and then also some lavender, definitely very noticeable in this fragrance. But both of them are really great. Really love them. That's why I bought them. And glad to have them. The other thing I want to mention is I don't know much about the brand Begim, as I said. I think it's a brand from Uzbekistan, so I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to discover and explore the fragrances further. As I was smelling the fragrances at Jovoy Mayfair, things were kind of standing out, but nothing really stood out as much as, of course, Silk Road for Him. It's because I'm really into that whole Dior Homme line of DNA fragrances. And the fact that these two fragrances reminded me of the the DNA of Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum. I had to have both of these fragrances. Anyway, there's probably some fragrance that you love a lot, and you love the way the fragrance smells, and you want to kind of take other variations on that fragrance in different forms. And Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense are like the DNA of those two fragrances is my favorite one of my favorite fragrances. So having these alternative takes on that kind of a variety of fragrances is always going to be a great thing. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Harmonious and Silk Road for Him. Do you guys know these two fragrances? Those of you that live in London, have you checked these fragrances out? Or did you hear about them somewhere and you're curious to find out about them? I highly recommend them. I wouldn't rush out and buy full bottles because these are pricey. But if you really love that whole DNA of Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense, you might like these. Just be warned, as I said, they have additional touches in comparison to the original fragrances. And the fact that the Harmonious is rosy, boozy, kind of makeup-y feel to it. And with the Silk Road for Him has that kind of nutty cocoa-like touch that's, you know, not necessarily very prominent in Dior Homme Intense. But I really do love these. That's why I have them. That's why I bought them. I'll put them to great use. I love this DNA. I love the fragrance Dior Homme Parfum. And these will be great additions to my collection. And those are my thoughts today. Let me know your thoughts on these two fragrances. Do they sound great to you? Would you rush out to check them out? Again, those of you that are in London, you're going to have it easier for you to get your noses on these fragrances. I don't know if Jovoy Mayfair ships. I don't think they do ship international. Jovoy in Paris does, but Begim is not carried at Jovoy Paris. And the fact that you can buy fragrances from Selfridges to be shipped to the USA also makes it easy for you guys to check this out. I believe it's $280 here in the States. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, shipping from the UK here, it might be around $280, but I paid $240 for this. But as I was finding out, the UK is not doing tax back anymore after Brexit. They have declined the whole getting your tax back at the airport thing. So this is what I paid for these fragrances. So I probably paid about $260 with the conversion rate for Boadicea the Victorious's Harmonious. And then for Begim's Silk Road for Him, I probably paid about $142 with the whole conversion. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.